Hi, Papaya! How are y'all doing? Hi, Possum. Happy Sapphic Sunday. We're back with some more Cage of Roses. We're back with our lovely vampire lesbian. Vampire lesbian. Magdalena. How are y'all doing? I've been a lovely Sunday so far. I've been doing nothing important. I've done literally nothing at all. This whole day. Done nothing at all. I've just been existing. But yeah, last week we... last week we... I remember my brain. By the way, I guess we could do but the most notable thing, I think, is last week we got our blood drawn from Magdalena into a bowl. And that was fun and interesting. It was very delicate about it. Very delicate, very careful, very caring. Lots of aftercare after the experience. Aftercare is important, guys. Don't forget. And then we checked back in with goddamn, I remember names is so bad. Fuck, what was your name again? I forgot the name of the character! Oh no! I can't see! I can't read! I can't read! Oh no! I forgot name! I forgot name of character. I forgot the names of people. But we checked in with, Henry, who is, still struggling with trying to save May Kay. Struggling really hard with that. Because no one wants to believe her. But she got a tip from one of the maids, other maids, Agnes, who told us that this Saint Father Dvorak said correctly Dvorak, and I like what the fuck I was saying before because I can't read English words. Might be able to help, which is interesting. And then cut back over to May Kay before we learned about before we learned about what happened with them. We learned about how helpful the Dvorak was. We went a garden stroll with Magdalena, and that was fun. That was cute. They had some nice heart-to-hearts. Had a nice cute nap moment together. They did a sit-down nap together. It was really cute, adorable, vulnerable. And then on our way back inside, we learned a bit about Magdalena. How there is apparently Magdalena has a mistress in the house. There's another person in the mansion, which is shocking and interesting. And then before we learned more about that, we were ushered back to our room, and then we cut back to back to Henny at the church. Met Father Dvorak, and Dvorak said that he knew someone, but he had come back to the church at midnight, the dead of night, for reasons. Because he's an associate who might be able to help Henny, get back, save save May Kay from the clutches of the vampire Magdalena. But yeah, that is a really rough overview of what happened. Last time I see my friend playing a game. I see my friend switch games. I see a slight sliver of the game on a stream right now, and just on my screen. Sorry, this is important. I'm just staring at this small sliver of my friend's Twitch stream, playing as the most people would colloquially call it, the incest game. That's besides the point. Anyways, What's important is Sapphic Sunday and these lesbians. These lesbians. Look at these lesbians. My hair's on my face. My bangs are on my eyes. I need to get either new headphones, new earbuds, or exist better. But again, that's also beside the point. What's important, again, are the lesbians we're gonna listen to. Lesbians. Then we left off right before Henny went out at night to meet Father Dvorak. She is occupying herself throughout the day with any small labors of maid work, cleaning the windows, dusting the linen. Yeah, let's jump in. We're treading water. We're treading water. Treading water. Water! In a second. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, yeah, we're back with Henrique, who is again staying staying a bit in here, and yeah. Anyways. The other maids murmured immediately to themselves as they attended their chores, their malcontents spearheaded by Henrique. But Henny had welcomed the work. She was so desperate for a distraction that even Gertrude's sour expression was welcome. It served as a reprieve. Though a reprieve from own anxious thoughts, all of which were centered around May Kay. Would Johanna really be able to help her? It was strange he had asked her to visit him later in the day, but he supposed he must have the reasons. Give me a second. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Where is the link emote? There it is. It was strange he had asked her to visit him later in the day. Had Henny supported? But he supposed he must have his reasons. She would find out soon enough, I suppose, during her second visit at St. Cecilia's. I'm distracted by existence. Sorry about that. And, this is normal day. Normal so many things. It was hours late until the sun would set, however, and so until then, he kept himself busy. She deflected Agnes's curious questions about her meeting with Johanna. Explain later, and kept her head down, impervious to Hermione's razor-sharp glares, and her occasional whispers of, "Why is she still here anyway? She isn't one of us. She doesn't belong here, and she's not trying to belong here either. She never talks to any of us except dozy old Agnes, and what she sees in her is mystery. Can't stand the way she holds herself as though she's so much better than the rest of us. What does she think she is? The Queen of Sheba? Of Sheba? I don't fucking know what that is. She might have worked in a fancy household once, but she's nothing more than a commoner." Oh, how cruel she is. She might be whispering, but it's clear she wants you to hear it. She might be petty, but beneath that face, just nothing more than how fast you read. Caprio, それはカプリオそうさ。Oh, should I yell Maybe pretty. Beneath her face is nothing more than a monster. Or as Mr. Alpena say, a monster! Monster! Monster? Do you really think so? Yes, she's so wicked. Makes my blood boil. See how you can stand it, Henrique. No. I have my ways. Henrique replied vaguely, while wiping down the many windows inlaid into the hallways. She might be an ill-tempered creature, but so are a lot of people, especially pretty ones. I'm prepared to bet that Hermione was complimented one too many times when she was a youngster, and it's inflated her sense of self-worth beyond our reasonable measure. I don't think she's evil, though. She's certainly not a monster. Hermione was no Magdalena. White of lamb, red of eye, with incisors sharp enough to bite through bones. He did not care for Hermione, but she would not deny that she was a human. Even the bandits who had murdered Lord and Lady von Essen had been human, albeit immoral ones. Magdalena, meanwhile, was something else altogether. Well, maybe you're right. I do think she's a bully, though. Try though I might. I can't bring myself to like her. One consistency. Can't bring myself to like her. I I think that's fair. I don't like the prissyness very much myself, but I've suffered worse than things in my sleep and sorts. They don't really bother me. That was true too. And he had long since learned that, though Hermione talked a lot. None of the things she said were worth listening to. It was mostly gossip, really. Hermione treated everyone poorly. Even the sycophants, scullery maids who buzzed about her, believing that they were friends. Hermione, with all her petty cruelty, seemed not the sort of person who was capable of having friends. She had only acolytes and acquaintances. She only acolytes. I mean, in all her petty cruelty, seems not the sort of person who was capable of having friends. She had only acolytes and acquaintances. Once more, and he wondered why Walter Graham put up with her. But that, she supposed, is largely irrelevant. Hermione spent that Sunday flouncing about and pulling her hair over her shoulders as opposed to doing all her real work, which eventually earned her Gertrude's ire. There's the old hag. There's the old hag. Hermione cursed after receiving a stern talking to from the housekeeper over her conduct. What's her problem? I swear, she has something against me. And I've never, ever even done anything to her. She's such a bitch. Henny, Bart, rather enjoyed seeing Hermione get scolded, and not just because she thought Hermione deserved it, which she did. The fracas between Hermione and Gertrude had afforded Henny the opportunity to slip a ring of keys from Gertrude's pocket. Keys which would be useful when she would have to leave later that night. She only hoped Gertrude would not spy they were missing. Not until she had successfully met with Johanna. That would scupper her plans. Scooper? Scupper. Words, not quite sure. Penny attended to her chores with bated breath, waited for Gertrude to bear upon them. Nostrils flared, spitting queries about the thief in their midst. To her immense relief, however, nothing happened. The day wore on without further events, and eventually there's something to sink beneath the horizon. I didn't realize I need to I'm going to turn that back on. Hello, Renee. The working day thus finished. The maids were dismissed by Gertrude, and they soon retired, retreated to the servants' quarters. A few of the maids played a game of cards among themselves, while others busied themselves with some knitting. Oh. Agnes, meanwhile, stole to Henny's side and softly said, "So, now will you tell me what happened? What did Father Dvorak say? I forgot what to say for a second there. I fucking blanked the fuck out. I had a stroke. Sorry about that. Fuck people to anything he says half the time. Don't fuck remember anything. He didn't say much at all. Really. Other than that, he was sorry for my plight. We didn't decide on any particular plan of action. But did ask you to come back to the church tonight, so we talk more properly. Agnes's brow furrowed. Why couldn't you talk earlier? He said he had an acquaintance he wanted me to meet, who'd only be around later, apparently. Apparently, she's the one who'll be able to help me. An acquaintance, is it? She must be an old sort of acquaintance, if she'll only speak to people after sundown. Not just for the Dvorak. If he says she can help you, then surely she must. He's not the sort to send people out on a wild goose chase. Oh, I certainly hope not. Hetty sighed dolorously, then looked out the window at Walter's lushly sprawling garden and the street beyond it. The sun had begun to sunk. It had already sunk below the horizon, and the roofs of the houses looked very dark indeed, almost sinister. I have a lot of expectations riding upon tonight's visit with your favourite father. If he lets me down after all this, I'm sure he won't. You should have more faith, and so will I. I'm wishing you well. Not that my wishes mean too much, I suppose. I know I'm just a stupid girl, like my mind says, but I really do want the best for you. I know you do. And don't you fuss too much about it. Hermione says I know. And what Hermione says, I know I don't. Nothing she says is worth much. How could it be? When her head is emptier than a hot air balloon. Agnes started to giggle after this, which alerted Hermione's attention. She broke off mid-complaint, and the words, "that bitch," still stapled on her lips, and glowered at the two women stood by the window. And what may I ask, so funny? Would you mind sharing with the rest of us? Oh, yes, nothing, really, Hermione. I'm sorry. Is it really nothing? If it was nothing, you wouldn't be laughing, and why are you apologizing? You must have been telling tales on me, on our new friend, have you, Agnes? No, whatever. I hope for your sake that you wouldn't. It would be very silly to make an enemy out of you. That don't seem like much, but a scullery maid. But I have friends in higher places if I wanted to. I could easily make your life living hell. Please, don't try any of my patience. I won't. I apologize. I promise. Very good. Keep out of mischief now. And you too, Henry.
I was just
You
thinking that
had
you
such
look like the sort
awesome.
of person who would enjoy one of our fairy kiss chillers.
Mm. Anyway. Very good. Keep out of mischief now, and you too, Enrique. I like how Herman's voice just keeps changing. I keep forgetting what the voice is every time I talk about her. I keep forgetting what the voice he gave her. She's just like 1,000 different fucking voices that are not just May Kay's, Henrique's, or Agnes's. Just always a different voice for her every single time we're talking. Now I have an accent, which is bizarre, but also makes sense that I'm using a British accent for this character. Every character in this game, because they're all fucking British. All the fucking British. I should know what you two were talking up to. Anyways, ducking your heads off together and murmuring, but I don't like it. Pick it up, I'll tell Gerard about you, and you'll be out of your. You'll be out on your ear quicker than blinking. I don't think. Gerard, my Aunt Bolivia needs an excuse to throw me out of this home. You've been chopping at the bit already. Well, I agree with you on that. Would it be? You wouldn't be. You shouldn't even be here. My Gerard lets you stay with us as a mystery. If you were pretty, I could at least understand it, but ain't that going to be further from the truth? You're so plain. I can imagine any man ever. I can't imagine any man ever wanting you. Your brush with death is your only claim to fame, and the shock of that will soon wear off. When it does, you can bet you two won't be here much longer. That suits me just fine. I don't intend to stay here much longer. I've also heard voice keep changing. I'm trying to go for a specific voice, but I keep forgetting how it goes. And I'm not sure how to do it. I know what it sounds like in my head. I can't manipulate my vocal cords to do the voice I'm looking for Henny. It's like this, kind of, except not really. He turned her back on Hermione, and the man turned her back on Henny. The unease which was brewed between them settled, for the time being at least. Sighing, Henny leant her elbows upon the windowsill and looked out at the sky. You're finding a hard time Sighing, Henny leant her elbows across the window and looked out the sky. Meant the wrong thing for a second there. She no desire to be drawn further into Henny's pettiness, and her mind's pettiness. What did her mind matter when May Kay was still shut away in Magdalena's abode, suffering? So, Henny spoke softly, so as not to be overheard once again by the malcontented Hermione. Are you going to meet Father Dvorak later? Of course! I've got to hear out at least. I'm interested in this assistant of his. Me too. I had no idea we even had an assistant. You might have some trouble slipping out undetected though. Doors are all locked at sundown, only the most senior staff members have keys. I thought that might have been the case, but don't worry. And he smiled as she patted her pocket, feeling the grooves of Gertrude's keychain through the fabric of her sket. Her sket. I should be fine. I hope so, Henrique. Oh, do take care of yourself. Don't get caught when you're sneaking out and get lost on the way to church and... Don't speak of any strange men. And he chuckled. Don't fret. I'll head straight to the church once the bell tolls for midnight. And I'll head straight back once I finish my calling to Dvorak. I'll be fine. Don't wait up for me. There's yet more work to be done tomorrow, and then I will lay into you if you stay awake at night. Oh, she'll always be there, Mummy. Not that she must have much room to talk. She's such a hypocrite. Yes, I've noticed. Try not to pay her too much heed. It's hard when she talks so much. But that shouldn't be too hard, at least. Rather than worry about me, I'll be too busy thinking about you. In a gay way. I mean, in a not gay way. Totally. A not gay way. Yes. Not gay. At all. Looks back and forth. Yep. Not a gay way. At all. I can pray for you too if you like. If you think it would work. Agnes? And he smiled, touched anew by the young girl's concern. Nobody in Walter Garrett's residence seemed to care really much about Henny, or about her missing mistress, except for Agnes. He was glad she had found at least one ally in Walter's inhospitable household. It was one ally more than she had expected, and it made her feel less alone. Thank you. You're very sweet. The hours were all worn. The maids began to tire. Yawns spread between them as they brushed their hair and played cards. Yawns, which were as contagious as any illness. The man rose from her bed and stripped herself of her maid's attire and into her nightgown, which prompted a further flurry of undressing. Henny too changed into her nightgown and stood away beneath her covers. She did not want any of her fellow maids, particularly the eagle-eyed Hermione, guessing at her plans. She lay abed, curled upon her side, and waited for what seemed an interminable time for the room until the room was full of snoring. Once Hetty was sure everyone was fast asleep, she rose, then changed once more into her maid's dress, it being the only outside outfit she'd had. Difficult. Under the covers of darkness, fearful of making a sound. Her heart thumped all the while, and Gertrude's keys sat heavy in her pocket, a physical manifestation of her crimes. She would be in a lot of trouble if her thievery was discovered. She'd be put in stocks at the very least, and perhaps imprisoned, either in a gallows, a gale, a what? What now? It's not a gallows, that's for sure. What the fuck is this word? A jail. It's a jail. Spelled funnily. Huh. Interesting. Huh. Never knew. Never knew. I was like, oh, good. I got a message from Vijan. That's not it. This is not a update about my commission I'm waiting for. That was, in fact, just a message saying that someone's commissions are open. I will eventually get an update from the person I commissioned, Vijan. Eventually. Surely. Right? Either in a jail or an asylum, as Walter had threatened. But Henny knew she couldn't let such threats attach her. It was too late to fuss about returning the keys to its rightful owner. She had it, and with it, she had a way of escaping Walter Grote's home. She could not afford to miss her appointment with Johanna in the church. And he was still doubtful whether he could really help her, but he was the only lead she had. It was either him or nothing. Newly dressed, and he paused at Agnes's bed. To Denny's surprise, Agnes was still awake, her eyelids fluttered. In the darkness, she murmured, "Look out there, Enrique." "Thank you very much, but remember my early warning. You don't need to wait for me. You young girls need your beauty sleep. And you don't need to call me Enrique either. I've always found it too formal. Henny is fine." "Alright then. Stay safe." "I will. I always do. Surviving out of is one of my talents." So saying, he slipped from the servants' quarters, shut the door soundlessly behind her, without giving the room a backwards glance. Now her thoughts were filled with nothing but May Kay. Henny crept down the stairs and crossed the narrow servants' hallways of the kitchen. Footsteps sounded uncomfortably loud in the silence, but she encountered nobody during her trek, to her relief. She was quite alone. Henny eventually made it to the back door, where deliveries were made. Henny thought it better to quit the house here, where it was less likely she would uncover any passers-by during a late-night stroll. Henny drew the pilfered key ring from her pocket with trembling fingers and inserted a key into the hole. Tried to turn it, and as soon as it resistance, the door refused to budge. Just reflected the wrong key from the chain. He clicked her tongue and tried another key. This too refused to turn its back lock, as did the next, and the next, and the next. Each key he tried resulted in further failure, which made her imagination race. What if the key ring she had slipped from Gertrude's pocket was the wrong one? There were many keys in the chain, any or heavy, chunky pieces made from iron, but there was no guarantee any of them led outside. Cold, hard panic began to settle inside the pit of Penny's stomach. Her palm was sweaty, knees were weak, arms were heavy, with trauma and sweater already. Penny tried at the end of the key. The 8th. She had been keeping count, but she hadn't. She turned the key in the lock, expecting nothing but this key, all of the rest, did turn, and smoothly, too, like butter. The door clicked, the door swung open, cold air rushing forth to meet Henny, like an old friend. Thanking both her luck, thinking both her lucky stars and her deft fingers, he stepped out into the street, closed the back door behind her, locking it, and then set out into the night. Augsburg streets were still unfamiliar to Henny, but she remembered the way to St. Cecilia's. She had ingrained it into her consciousness during her trek there earlier than that morning. Thanks, lest she should be required to return. Henny had not imagined that Johanna would ask her to come back so soon. Or so late, she supposed. She glanced up at the moon. The moon was not yet full, but soon it would be. It hung above the roof of all the fine houses, lighting their chimney stacks and the rough iron, the wrought iron railings which fenced in their fine gardens. And he hurried on, footsteps echoing beneath about the streets. She prayed. She walked. That she did not run into anybody. Not that she knew any person in Augsburg. The city was strange to her. People, even more so. The wind brushed against Henny's exposed cheeks and her fingers, so she shivered. It was early autumn, but it was uncommonly cold for it. It seemed the winter, when it arrived, would be frigid. Henny had expected, had thought little of the coming months, however, being so steeped in thoughts of the past. How could she plan for the future when she knew what how AK was? Henny's heart beat in tandem with every step against the cobbles, and with each monotonous strike of her heels, she thought of May Kay. Please, let it not be too late. Please, God, I'm begging you, let me find my May Kay. If we can be reunited, I'll ask nothing more from you, not for as long as I live. It was fortunate that his nerves, which now were stretched to their breaking point, that St. Cecilia's was not so very far away from Walter's home. She arrived there in under 10 minutes, though it felt longer. And he had been so entrenched in her anxious musings that time itself seemed to slow to Ick. And his every footstep's far too slow despite our hurried gait. The stained glass windows of the church were dark when Hetty approached it, and the imposed wooden door was tightly shut. At a glance, it seemed to be closed. Even the most godly of its congregation, the priest within obeyed. And he hoped that this was all subterfuge, and Johanna had not forgotten their promise. And he approached the wooden doors with faltered steps, more anxious than she had been during her flight here, and walked us home and raised her fist. As with caution and cautious eyes she glanced about, searching the streets for any signs of life, but she found nobody. The streets were not wholly quiet, and you could hear the sounds of drunken revelries from the nearby tavern. The streets upon which St. Cecilia stood was abandoned, and the shops all closed, and the lights in their windows extinguished. The breeze nudged Penny's arm as though spurring her own words. She looked up to the wooden door which towered before her as though to test her. She swallowed, tasting the cold air on her tongue. Then she knocked. He knocked hesitantly, fearful of wakening the person in the neighbouring houses. Unfortunately for her, however, the sound of a knocking seemed much too loud, almost as loud as the erratic beating of her heart. Annie waited, fitfully, shifting from foot to foot. It heard no noise from within the church. Was Johanna not there? Had he forgotten about her? Perhaps she had simply fallen asleep while waiting. Or maybe. Had not heard her. Had he chanced another series of knocks more louder this time, she rapped and rapped till the knuckles fell sore, throwing caution to the wind until... Oh, Henrique, so you did come back. I was just beginning to wonder. The door opened with a low groan. There stood Johanna, illuminated by the silver of the wane candle. Illuminated by the silver wane candlelit which burned in the church behind him. He looked much as he had during Henny's initial meeting of them, though Henny thought he was taller than she had recalled. Johanna's neat, dark hair was parted at the front, revealing a high forehead which spoke of learning, and his brown eyes were soft and gentle. You kept me waiting, which it's been such a long while. I worried you might have forgotten our arrangement. Marion was beginning to nag me about it. Not that that's anything new. She teases him every chance she gets. Wicked creature that she is. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep you. It was a while before I was able to sleep away. I don't think the other maids would care. Do you know I've gone off to the midnight stroll? Or a garage? Oh yes, I understand. We all have our own circumstances. I apologize if I put you in a tight spot. The problem? I imagine you've a good reason for wanting to meet so late, no matter how inconvenient it is. Now who's this Heidneri you spoke of? Is she your assistant? And she's going to try this. That's his name. Oh yes, that's right. She's here now to say hello to you, though I think she'll be rather cross that I took the wind from her sails. Hi, Demeti. Hi, Demeti. Okay. No, yeah, she would have wanted to introduce herself. She's really very. Johanna, have you quite finished talking yet? I'm getting bored and it's rude to keep a lady waiting, you know. Oh yes, my apologies. Do come away from the door, Enrique. It's freezing tonight. I'd hate for you to catch your death of cold. Come and warm yourself. You meet Heidi Marie while you're at it, and then you may call her. Tell her you told all you told me. I'm sure she'll be interested in your tales. Many thanks, Johanna. Then to the church, skirting the priest as she did so. St. Cecilia's looked much as it had during the daytime, with its valued ceiling and its stained glass window. It's plural, not one. The darkness rendered it eerie. However, the rows of pews drowned in shadows. Heidi glanced about, unsure who she would be searching for. Then, with wide eyes, she stilled. A figure had been sitting upon one of the pews. The wood rose to its feet upon hearing Henny's approach, and curtsied neatly. The figure was a diminutive one. Small, in fact, it made Henny start. The girl who stood before her, he could not think of her as a woman, was evidently young, perhaps 9 or 10 years old. If she was in double digits, it would have been only barely. Her skin was pale, white even, in flickering candlelight, and her hair was fair and wavy, all ringlets. The girl's eyes, meanwhile, were wide and staring, and irises were a shocking hue which made Penny gasp. They were not blue, or green, even dark grey. They were gold instead, and seemed to shine even brighter in the candlelight. The girl's eyes were even more sinister than Magdalena's. Are you Heidi Marie? Why, yes, that's right. Did Johanna say as much? My name is Heidi Marie, and you are Fru Henry, yes? Why, yes, that's me. Then you must be the woman Johanna and I have been waiting for. It is very good to meet you, although you don't seem to share my sentiments. Why do you shrink from me so? A grown woman like yourself? Don't tell me you're afraid. Just look at how small I am. I'm nothing at all to be scared of. I don't bite. Unless you ask me nicely. Why the fuck do I have 7 pings? Ah, yes. The group chat's being messaged on Discord. Oh, I see. At least not that much.
Hello there. May I ask why you're sleeping on the floor?
Hi. Mokabo. Mokaba. Welcome, welcome. How are you? Welcome in. How are you doing? Welcome. You're in time for Cyber Sunday. We're just now meeting another vampire lady. Welcome, 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 welcome. Kinda tired. Aw, dang. I hope you get some rest soon, because rest is important. And hope you enjoy your stay. We're here reading some we'll just be here reading some Sapphic Sunday, Vampire, Yuri. This is not the Vampire Yuri. The Vampire Yuri is somewhere else. This is an I forgot the ads. I forgot ads existed. Huh? Welcome. Sorry. I thought I have ads playing. I forgot ads exists as a thing. I'm sorry. Yeah, welcome in. Hope you get some rest soon. You know, we can enjoy your stay here. We'll be reading some Vampire Yuri, but this is not the Vampire Yuri. The Vampire Yuri is somewhere else, not here. This is not the Vampire Yuri, I think. Well, I hope not. This is not the Vampire Yuri. The Vampire Yuri is these two here. This is not them. This is someone else. This is the maid, and this is... Well, we don't know just yet. We just met her. I assume something is important. The Vampire Yuri is in the castle. Or manor, I suppose. Yes, indeed, Possum. They are in another manor. For this is a church. We are in a church. Don't question why vampires in a church. I don't know either. They just are. But yeah, I'm here. Welcome in. I'm going to be doing some mediocre voice acting skills. My favorite pastime is mediocre voice acting. It's fun. Yeah. Pause. Oh no! Rip, no! Your prince is in another castle! Possum, you can't do that to them. How could you? But yeah, hope you enjoy. We'll be just chilling. Grab a blanket, grab some snacks, grab some tea or hot drink. And enjoy my mediocre ability to read English words. Half the time they're not English words, half the time they're like, what, German or something? I don't know. Latin? Definitely, I can't read Latin, so enjoy. If Ida Marie's eyes had not made it obvious, immediately apparent, then those teeth of hers, sharp as knives, served as the final nail in the proverbial coffin. Ida Marie was not an ordinary little girl. She was inhuman. Good God! You're like her! Like who? Like who? I thought a voice gave her. Like who? Like the creature that captured my mistress. You're one of the monster. A monster? Am I? Is that what you think? Ida Marie surveyed Henny, her smile unwavering, putting one hand beneath her chin. The young girl tilted her head and said, I suppose I should take offense, but that might not be entirely inaccurate. To a human like you, I probably seem like a monster. And what you know, I'm capable of some rather wicked things. But Johanna keeps an eye on tight leech. Keeps me on a tight leech. I can't fucking read English words, goddammit. He'll be the first to tattle on me should I step out of line to his superiors in the church, and then I'll be in trouble. If anybody knows how to strike fear into the hearts of the night, immortal or immoral, it's these boring men in the clerical robes. Then, does that mean you're a vampire? You're a vampire? Naturally. How many ordinary humans have you known with eyes as bright as mine? Or teeth as sharp? I was a human once upon a time, but that feels so very, Very, for long time ago. I doubt the vampire you'll quarrel with. Oh, don't look so shocked. You ought to told me about it. Couldn't hold a candle to me. I've been alive, if you cared to call it that, for... Oh, I don't know. I've lost count. Mathematics have never been my strong suit, and I've been such a long time and my mind fails me. I think it must have been at least 400 years at this point, though. 400? It has been a lot long, yes. Heidi Marie is prone to exaggeration, but she's been truthful on in the school. She's an ancient vampire, one of the oldest, so the church believes in all of Europe. Tut. Heidi Marie clicked her tongue. It's polite, you know. Talk of about the lady's age and such clever. It's such polite, you know. Talk about a lady's age and in a so cavalier manner. If you didn't, I have a guest over. I'd bite you for your insolence, Johanna. Is it polite, strictly speaking, to threaten people that you disagree with? That you've ever cared about minding your manners? I care enough not to terrify our poor guest out of her wits. I'm afraid your attempts at magnanimity are not working. Just shake a look at these. Oh, you're right, Sir Henrique. You aren't about to faint, are you? I know this must be an awful lot to swallow. A lot to swallow is right. This is impossible. If you're a vampire, then what are you doing in a church? And why are you acting so familiar with this father? With the father? Oh dear. Why could that be, I wonder? Why don't you let me elucidate? Fraulein. I may be a vampire, and an ancient vampire at that, but I'm not a mindless monster who can think of nothing but her own next meal. I've had my fill of screaming people and flowing blood. You can rest easily. I've tasted blood better than yours in the past. I'm certain of that. I've drunk so much of it, in fact. I'm just about to go sick of it. Which is for the best, I suppose. If I'd kept up my rampaging way, the church would have seen me like that. Heidi Marie made a gesture, now against her neck, one which signified execution. I've been working for this church for over a century. My servitude in exchange for my continued life, and I'll curtail my bloodlust accordingly. I step only on those whom I've permission to feed upon, namely the lucky members of the clergy who can tasked with taking care of me. I'll only bear these fangs of mine for Johanna. Does that satisfy your concern, Fraulein? Well... Oh, please. Heidi Marie snorted. Heidi Marie. Sorry, Johnny. Snorted. Don't tell me you're still afraid. What Because you have to flee from a college dog tied to a post. Lady Marie is, tell the truth. She has a lot of bark, but no bite. Well, I say that, but I... You want to chuckle softly? Her bite is rather formidable. But I'm the only one, she has, that still to suffer its consequences. You will be perfectly safe. I don't understand what you might fear, however, but I worked with her for almost 4 years, and she's never once given any trouble. Beyond her tendency. Turns her back, that is. There, you see? I'm as good as gold. Why, my heart might even be as pure as a saint's. I don't know if I'd be quite that far. Most saints don't have paths as bloody as yours. As yours. But it is all in the past, Johanna. Well and truly. Almost 2 centuries in the past, in fact. Can quickly go. I quickly go buy our break, but I'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah. BRB. BRB. have returned. Hi. Hi. This one back in. Don't use Gemini. I want my phone back in, please. Please plug in. Thank you. Doop, doop, doop. Okay. And we are good to go. Sorry. Where's that beer back? There it is. It is on the past, Johanna. It's on the past, Johanna. Well and truly. Almost 2 centuries in the past, in fact. I have helped the church hunt down many vile vampires. I've saved scores of swimming virgins. I've done more than a lot of your silly Christian saints ever did. Me. Martyring themselves for no good reason. At least I actually get things done. Why would the church send a vampire to fight other vampires, though? It makes no sense. Doesn't it? Heidi Marie raised an eyebrow. Do you know what they say, Fräulein, about fighting fire with fire? The same holds true here. The vampires are a formidable race, with unparalleled speed and strength. Johanna would stand no chance against a vampire, being a bumbling human of limited physical strength, but I can make short work of the wicked night walkers who've kidnapped your mistress. Of that I promise. Would you really be able to do that? If it's within my ability, it's well within my abilities. My past records ought to speak for itself. When it comes to hunting vampires, Heidi Marie is second to none. If you wish to rescue your mistress, then we must rely upon her. I know you might find her disagreeable, but she's more trustworthy than she appears. She has been an indispensable ally to me. Trust me, for I am a Father Johanna, or as Father Dvorak Johanna Dvorak, if you will. Don't have any more gummy bears, because I like candy. I drink doing candy at the most bizarre points of time. You won't problem with me. I like to candy all the time, so openly available to me. Easily accessible, just reach behind me. It's there. Candy. But fuck it. Oh well. Johanna, you flatter me. You continue to be so complimentary. I may have to reward you in turn. Would you like me to bite you? Just a little? I've heard some people find it therapeutic. Oh, to behave yourself. What matters is what happened to trying to make our guests feel welcome? Nora tuttered, then turned back to Annie. So, what do you think? Will you consent to letting Heidi Marie help you? Well, you'll say yes. You'll say yes if you really love your mistress, no matter how many misgivings you have, yeah? You'll say yes if you really love your mistress, but how many misgivings you might have. You can spurn me if you wish. You wouldn't be the only one, but you'll only be hurting yourself in the long run. You shouldn't cut your nose off to spare your face, Rodaline. Even if it is rather lumpy, you need me more than I need you. I don't... I mean... He stood there, still for several moments, dithering, her heart hammering like a war drum within her breast. She had imagined that Johanna's acquaintance might be the vampire, one who seemed even more fearsome than Magdalena. It was all a lot to take in. She was still reeling, hurt by Johanna's lack of transparency, stung by Marie's impish words, and yes, afraid and be in such close proximity to yet another godless creature. Up until 2 weeks prior, had he not known vampires existed. Now, she had learned to fear them. Looking at Marie's made Henny's blood run cold. But so too did the memory of what Magdalena had done to both those bandits. It was impossible for a human could contend with such strength. But Marie was not a human. Or as a fellow vampire, perhaps she could overwhelm Magdalena. It was worth a try at least. Anything was, for Maike's sake. Alright, I'm prepared to trust you. Heidi Marie, despite my misgivings, I will leave my mistress's safety in your hands. And what capable hands I have, so fair and slender, like 2 lovely lilies. Thank you for your vote of confidence, Freudeline. You're most kind. Heidi Marie took her ornate skirts in both hands and dropped it into curtsy. I would be more than happy to assist you with your little problem. It's been a while since I went on a hunt, and have been fitfully bored. Before that, however, I would propose a plan. What sort of plan? Will you not go to rescue Maikei? Of course. But tonight would be a poor time for it. My services have been required in quite some time, and I've been spending most of my time sleeping to conserve my energy. I need a few days to rejuvenate. I've no small amount of blood. Marie looked at Johanna, then grinned unpleasantly, as a gargoyle might. I hope you're prepared. It would be most fortunate if all of us, if you were to collapse upon me. You're concerned about me? How kind of you. That makes quite the change from usual. You needn't worry about my resistance. However, I will be quite alright. Yeah. Huh. That's what I like to hear. You just men. Might be boring, but at least you're strong. You're so... No, you're not stranger to suffering. I'll grant you that. Lord to send us these trials to test us. Joanna smiled, wryly. Madame Marie scoffed. Yes, but it won't be your precious lord who's going to make a meal out of your neck. You didn't, you dingbat. You can be so cruel sometimes. You can be so cruel sometimes. I used to be crueler. I'm afraid I've lost my edge. Spending so much time with you. You're a terrible influence. Now, we shall pursue that wicked vampire in 1 week's time, on the night of a full moon. My powers should then be at their peak. No one should be able to stop me. They do say that pride comes before a fall, you know. To lesser mortals, perhaps, not to me. Since when have I ever failed my duties? I suppose you have a point there. I always do. Smiling smokily, the matter of all young children. The matter of young children who have successfully managed to outwit the adult. Ida Marie looked back at Henny, one hand resting upon her hip. I should bid you of Hoydres of Hoydachem for the present, for the night. The hour is advanced, and why we vampires thrive in the dark. You humans need your rest. Don't be a stranger. No, I beg. Don't be a stranger, though. I beg of you. I will require your services when the appointed day comes, so you can guide me into the woods, to the abode of this vampire. Do you mean to stick around, then? Isn't that what I just said? Do try to listen. We'll never get anywhere if I am obliged to continuously repeat myself. May not, please. I'm sure you must be nervous, wandering into the woods so late at night, but you will be quite safe. I'll be with you, to ensure that Ida Marie doesn't get out of her into any mischief. You know, mischief. Yes. You're a fucking idiot. As if I would. You wound me, Johanna. Ida Marie pouts, but seems put on. Too theatrical to be heartfelt. Did Ida Marie even have a heart in her possession? Tucked away inside her ribcage, which continued to beat? And he wouldn't even be surprised that the ravages of time had turned it to dust. This vampire's abode will most likely be concealed from prying eyes like some sort of glamour. If you were able to bring me to the rough location, however, I should be able to see past all her trifling enchantments. This silly little vampire will be in for quite the rude awakening indeed. I can't wait to see that look of surprise upon her face, until I slit it off her skull. Slice off her skull. This is going to be so much fun. And his nerves were as disorderly as the cargo held at a mercantile ship during the storm as she crept through Augsburg's streets, blanketed by the inky darkness. The sounds of her footsteps on the cobblestone seemed to echo through the night, and the dark night which she navigated. And you could hear a faint sound of revelries in the distance, as swaths of drunkard men covered in the alehouses, but Penny kept her distance. She had no desire to speak to anybody at the present, particularly not leery, overtly talkative, sauce, sauced with beer and cider. Penny thought it inappropriate that public houses should be open during Sundays at all, when it was supposed to be the day of rest. But she had little room to judge. She too had spent her Sunday running errands, but said errands had been of clerical nature. She had spent the midnight hours in church, consulting with the priests, who could be very respectable than this. That was Hyde Marie's to continue to. There was Hyde Marie's there too, I suppose, but she wasn't sure what to think about it. Hyde was strange, unnerving creature. One whose existence seemed to spit in the face of God himself. And he could recall with startling charity the stark paleness of Hyde Marie's skin, and her unnerving irises golden like fields of wheat or expensive jewelry. Though Hyde Marie was smaller than Magdalena, and very clean, and very clearly young, they must have been cut from the same tree. Two alike monsters, with unlike presences. Magdalena kidnapped ladies from her sports and drained them of their bloods. Hyde Marie, meanwhile, he determined to help them. Penny wasn't sure whether she could trust Hyde Marie. Her knowing Small had been disorienting. But she did trust Johann. She appeared to be he appeared to be every inch the gentleman Agnes told him. Even tempted, eager to help. If he could keep Hyde Marie in hand, then perhaps they really would be fine. To really be able to find and rescue May-Kay. And that was what Penny wanted to believe. She did not like to think that efforts to help May-Kay were all in vain. And nor that she was intolerable. He knew she could not discount the possibility. It had been over a fortnight since May-Kay had taken a prisoner, but neither did she want to dwell upon. Thank you, awesome hot charger. Thank you for that posture check, Kimmy.
I was just thinking that you
There's
look
a
like the
hydrate.
sort
Yeah,
of
there you go.
person
Thanks-
who would
thanks for hydrating,
enjoy
Kimmy.
one of our fairy kiss chillers.
I'm so used to pasta doing it. I was like, oh, your church sound. Here comes hydrate. Nope, I'm possum. That's what it's you're not a possum. Lol. Sorry. Kind of silly. It's me. Hi, Kimmy. How you doing? We're having a lovely Sunday so far. Yep. Thank you, Pause and Hydrate.
Aw, you furry.
I know. I know, Possum. You can still call me that without the model redeem. That's funny. It works either way. Model, no model, that still works. You can still spend 1,500 to do that. That's it, right? Yeah, that was huge. It's oddly quiet. I wish I could turn the volume for that redeem, but I can't make it. I try to make it as loud as possible. It doesn't go any louder than that. It can't go louder than that. I've tried. I want to make it louder than that, but it does not go louder than and then I have it set already. I'm sad for that fact. I've tried my hardest to make it go louder, but it will not go louder than that. Unless I can. No, I don't think so. I have tried my hardest to make it louder. The way to do that is to make tits louder, and that's not going to be the best thing in the world to do. If it's too loud, it's going to be not good for anyone to hear. But yeah, anyways. Thank you, Possum, for calling me a furry, I guess. Oh my god, 140! Kimmy, hell yeah, look at you go. He knew she could not discount the possibility. It had been over a fortnight since AK had been taken a prisoner, but neither did she want to dwell upon it. She had allies now, though she had found them in an unlikely place, and things soon would set into motion. With Hadda Marie and Johanna's help, she could venture forth into the woods, and she would find Magdalena's home once more. They would confront the wicked vampire who had imprisoned May Kay, and they would save her. Like a fairy tale, everything would end happily ever after. Though the fairy tale Henry's mother had told her, the child nearly ended like that. The fairy tale was imported from France, such as Cinderella, had it cheerfully enough, with goodness reigning triumphantly and royal weddings, but the homespun tale, which originated in German soil, were of a less cheerful bent. Those tales have been full of dead or dying children, basins full of bloody body parts, and heads lopped off. Henry shivered as the cold wind nipped her fingers. Be right back, I need to grab something real quick. Exact noise. Oh, wait. I'm talking to myself out loud. It's things to do. Anyways. No, she would not think of it. May Kay wasn't dead. She couldn't be dead. if she lost faith in May Kay now, she would be better than Malta. She had given up on her, on her. He had given up on his fiancées earlier than most rakes would have, but Penny did not. She didn't make her since they were children, and she believed, by God, how earnestly she wanted to believe, and Maker still lived. Maker might have appeared frail, but he was not the sort to simply give in. She had more panache than her pale complexion would have credited. There was a May Kay and her mother had always been loggerheads. Lady von Essen did not know what to do with her child, who had been so infuriatingly willful. Lady von Essen had thought that May Kay's stubbornness had been was of defect, but Henny had always thought otherwise. Henny loved May Kay for her fieriness. She would always accept her mistress, though her parents and later her fiancé had not. That was why she meant not to try hard. That was why she meant to try hard for May Kay's sake. She would do anything to ensure her mistress's safety, even lacerate her sores upon sea of broken glass. It was not glass, fortunately, which Henny had to navigate, but cobblestone, and and they were far less precarious. He stole away to Walter Garrett's home, which looked larger and more imposing than the shadows. She had crept more to the back door, where the servants entered and exited. Unseen by all save for the watchful moon, he slid her ill-gotten key into the lock, twisted it. It opened. Soon, the door soon gave way, swung open, and Henny stepped inside. Tucked her behind her, tucked the keys away in her pocket, and moved her shoes, lining them up alongside those of her fellow maids. Quite as an assassin, crept through Walter's home, evaded the kitchens, the servants' quarters, and his corridor, until she came to the thin ribbon of oaken steps which led to her own quarters. During her night-time wanderings, Henny met with no opposition. It was past midnight, and Walter's household was at rest. The magic of sleep infused into the very air. Even Gertrude, who was alert during the day, would not have been lying in her private quarters, in a nightgown, dreaming of whatever it was housekeepers dreamt of, barking orders and making the scullery maids cry more or less. Henny knew that Gertrude would be less than impressed when she discovered a set of her keys had gone missing. He would have to finagle some way to return them, unnoticed, and send Rose. But that could wait for later. Then he had more pressing concerns weighing upon her. Looked across the hallway, praying for the wooden floorboards not to creak, or to give her way. She did not think Gertrude would take kindly upon knowing she had been skulking about at night, or Walter, for that matter. and he could hear the water's offish tones now. As he lodged at his escritoire, the master of all he surveyed. I took you into my home, and this, as you repay me, sneaking out of at odd hours like a common thief, stealing from Gertrude as you please. Have you no shame? I have tried to be patient with you, Frère Henrique. This is the final straw. Want you gone from my house as soon as possible, before your chance to infect any of my other maids with your lousy conduct. Yes. He thought that sounded about right. Though something was missing from her phantasmal summoning of Water Geralt. She hadn't prepared a speech with nearly enough Latin. Spoken to herself, and he let herself into her room and sat into her bed with a sigh of relief. She returned from her midnight rendezvous in one piece, and Walter Geralt's household was none the wiser. Well, stats say four. The other maids were all in bed, in the nightgown, fast asleep. Her mind was turned over on one side. The copper-coloured hair spilled across her pillow, while Agnes was snuffling softly, like a field mouse, her fingers curled at her side. He smiled at Agnes fondly, appreciative of all her aid. Then she prepared herself for bed. And he stripped off her clothes, accompanied by the sound of 6 girls, all snoring, changed into her nightgown. Nearly dressed, and he slid beneath her covers. They were cool and icy against her bare arms and legs, and shivered. She turned, hoping to sleep, all while fearing it was impossible. When? Henny? Henny? A voice called to Henny in the dark. Soft and girlish, only barely audible above the sound of snoring. It was Agnes. Henny had thought her asleep, but she must have been more cunning than Henny had given her credit for. That or her changing had aroused the girl from her uneasy slumber. Oh, Agnes! I thought you didn't have to. I thought I said you'd have to stay up for me. I know you did. I did try to sleep. I really did. But I couldn't. It took such a long time, I was afraid you wouldn't come back. The streets of Augsburg are so twisted and turny. It's even worse in the dark. It gets scary out there, and it's so late. And you'd be safe with Johanna, but on your own. Agnes bit her lower lip. I'm glad you didn't get into any trouble. You didn't get in trouble, did you? I didn't. As you can see, I'm quite alright. I kept my head down, my feet moving. I didn't stop to talk to any strange man, other than Father Dvorak at the church. He's quite a strange man indeed. Father Dvorak is quite the strange man indeed. I agree. What a strange fucking man. Do you support his count? Do you suppose he counts? Do you suppose he counts? It's quite unusual for a priest, but yes, very fond of him. Me too. Me too. I think you might be onto something there. So, what did you say? Give me a second. This one. Did he agree to help you find your mistress? And he nodded. He said it would help. It would be possible. At first, he asked me to wait a few days. He said he would have better luck for Scheme AK. That is to say, my lady, the moon is full. I can't see why exactly. He seems to know what he was talking about. Father Dvorak always does. He knew just what to say to my mother, when she was at her worst too. She was such a bad way. She was such a bad way. I thought she'd never get better. If Father Dvorak could be wrong. If can make the impossible possible. Just you see. I'm sure he'll be able to rescue Lady May Kay. I'm sure he will. He is a professional when it comes to all these supernatural going-ons. Or it seems so. I'll leave it all up to him. And his assistant, I suppose. Oh yes, his assistant. I mentioned her earlier. What was she like? I don't think I mentioned gender. Did I? Maybe. Possible. It's hard to describe her. I suppose she was very unusual. Unusual? She wasn't at all what I expected. I think I can trust her though. I'm glad to hear it. He asked me to guide her and Father Dvorak to the woods, actually to help them locate Mako. Send me back in the forest for everything that happened. I have to. If I wanted to rescue May Kay, I don't have much of a choice. I suppose. Now she nervous. I would be. Even so. I don't know if I'd be able to bear it. I'm sure it'll be fine, he said lightly, though in truth, she didn't feel fine. She made unpleasant memories attached to their forest, memories that she would far rather forget. It had been in those woods that Lady and Lord von Essen lost their lives. And you could still recall Lord von Essen's rasping, dying breaths. Lady von Essen's screams. There had been the flash of a blade, and then... I won't be alone. I'm with Father Dvorak. He promised to protect me. Father Dvorak could do anything, remember? Is that what you said? He's a miracle worker. Suppose so, yes. I would know what magic is capable. But oh, Penny, please look after yourself. I would hate for you to get hurt after all you've been through. I think you're suffering enough. Don't worry, Agnes. It won't take more than a few bennets to put the fear of God into me. Or a few vampires, for that matter. They can't scare me. Well, they can. And he corrected herself, seeing the doubt in Agnes's eye. But I won't let them get to me. May Kay endured a lot for my sake, and as her maid, I want to do the same for her. I'd do anything to get to see her again. You'd fancy me willing to go that far? Of course I would. May Kay is the most important person in the world to me. Happiness is my happiness. The thought of facing that infernal vampire is scary. It's less scary than the thought of never seeing her again. I want to know that she's all right. There's nothing in this world I want more than that. And that's nothing. And there's nothing I won't endure for her sake. Another week passed. Week which, for Henny, was spent in anticipation of the full moon, when she would travel once more into the woods with Johanna and Heidemarie. For Mary Kay, however, this week seemed very uneventful indeed. Magdalena continued to drain May Kay of her blood in the nights, with a silvery knife in the ceramic bowl used to catch her blood. That's kind of hard. They talked a little during the session, though the dialogues had always clipped. Was always clipped. May Kay wincing from the pain, while Magdalena winced at inflicting it. Magdalena had stopped sitting with May Kay when she ate her dinner, and their turn in the garden seemed a thing of the distant past. May Kay feared their relationship would continue thus, stoic and uninvolved, save for the regular bloodletting, until one overcast Wednesday morning when Magdalena again brought May Kay breakfast in person. Magdalena, when depositing May Kay's breakfast upon her bedside while she slept, during the last few days, and as she had with May Kay first took up her unwilling residence in Magdalena's home. She had thought Magdalena's early morning greetings had been a one-off, not to be repeated. Evidently, she'd been wrong. Half asleep, May Kay was roused from her by rapping of knocks upon the door, which then swung open to reveal Magdalena, pale of face and of hair, her under eye darkened and smudged as though was pencil. Magdalena brought in her hands with a tray, upon which was a pot of tea, a plate of 2 buttered scones. 2 of them. Here you are, my lady. Magdalena rested the tray upon May Kay's lap, who still sat in bed, with an exaggerated flourish, then a neat curtsy. I hope your breakfast finds you well. Oh, thank you. To what do I owe the pleasure? Do I need a reason to check on my favorite prisoner? I thought only that it had been a while since I had paid you an unexpected visit. It would do well to keep on your toes. Keep you on your toes. I can't read English words. Jesus fucking Christ. Struggling to string together English words together. It's really difficult sometimes. Oh well. I would so hate for us to fall into routine. And off we go. You may accuse me of being cruel as much as you want, but I can't bear the thought of being called boring. Oh, you're anything but that. May Kay reassured Magdalena with a small smile. But as the surprise of Magdalena's visits had begun to wear them, were thin, and May Kay begun to feel a strange stirring in her breast. It was not fear nor anxiety, as it had been in the beginning, but something softer and sweeter. Yearning? Lesbian yearning. It was hard to put her finger upon what it was exactly, but, you should pour yourself some tea and quickly before it gets cold. Be an awful waste. I think you'll like today's blend. It's apple tea, with a touch of honey. I only hope it isn't too sweet. Oh no, it's fine. I like sweet food. I know you do. You had the palate of a little child. Magdalena smiled. Her cheeks dimpled, despite her obvious exhaustion, and gestured to the teapot. Magdalena smiled, her cheeks dimpled, despite her obvious exhaustion, and gestured to the teapot. Go on, drink, do. You need to preserve your strength. Come on, you drink. You preserve your strength. Thank you. This is very thoughtful of you. May Kay reached for the teapot and began to pour. A steam of amber-colored liquid split from the spout of the pot into a cup, all the while exuding forth fragrant steam. The teapot looked and smelt delicious, as sweet and as fresh as an orchard. May-Kay let her fingers curl about the handle of the cup. Then slowly, she brought it to her lips. She drew upon the surface of the apple tea to further cool it. Then sipped. As she drank, she became aware that Magdalena's eyes fixed upon her own. Magdalena's gaze was steady and disconcertingly serious. Despite her previous stream of flattery, as though meaning to commit May-Kay's every contour to memory. Was she anxious that at any given moment May-Kay might disappear like the steam which unfurled from the teacup? The experience was not wholly pleasant, and it made May-Kay's skin prickle. Sweet though the tea was, May-Kay found that she could not focus upon it. No one Magdalena's gaze was so doleful. Did Magdalena know something she did not? Perhaps there was a reason beyond her visit that cool, overcast Wednesday morning, beyond mere whimsy. Was today to be the final time Magdalena would serve May-Kay breakfast? The final time they would sit together and talk as though they were equals. Perhaps that night Magdalena wanted to end it all. The regular bloodletting sessions had left May-Kay feeling drained, and the inside of her arm stung horribly as she tried to sleep. Anxious thoughts festered inside May-Kay's head like a mushroom did in the dark, until they threatened to overwhelm her. Tea, all of a sudden, tasted too sweet upon her tongue, and she choked upon it. Oh, May-Kay. Magdalena started forth to rub May-Kay's back with her right hand, her fingers uncomfortably cold even through the fabric of May-Kay's nightgown. Oh, you're right. Here. Let me help you. Magdalena patted May-Kay's back until her cough had subsided. Her expression, one of concern, was that of a friend, or perhaps even a lover. Gay! May-Kay could feel Magdalena's breath upon her cheeks, like a puff of Arctic air, devoid not of warmth, but of life. As a being which had already died, it seemed unlikely that Magdalena needed to breathe at all. She only continued to do so because she was accustomed to it. It may be because she wished to cling on to some fragment of her long-lost humanity. It was all an act, though. She was a monster. Yeah. Was she? May-Kay had never known a monster so kind before. Oh, so confident. Considerate. Thank you. May-Kay murmured, abashed, as she sat down, a cup half-drunk tea. She felt overwhelmed by her feelings for Magdalena, and found she could not look hostess in the eye. There's no need to thank me, dear. I brought that tea as a token of kindness. I would hate for you to choke on it. Magdalena giggled. Irrelevant, as always. Her breezing chatter could not however, hide how very tired she was. Magdalena reached one hand to her temple to brush back a few misplaced strands of ashen hair. As she did, one of her sleeves rolled back. Once again, the corset ties which bound her wrist had come undone. Had she been too busy preparing breakfast to turn up? And May Kay could see a large expanse of Magdalena's skin. Even now, even more marks marred Magdalena's skin. Marks which were deeper and angrier than the ones May Kay had seen before, out in the garden. These marks were accompanied with bruises, black and blue and green, which steepled Magdalena's steepled, I don't know, Magdalena's skin from her wrist all the way down to her elbow. Her skin seemed like a canvas upon which a demented artist had worked, splattering paint here and there, and with no rhythm or reason. Vampires couldn't bleed, but they could bruise. They could be hurt, and perhaps they could even be broken. It was an uncomfortable sight, which made May Kay regret her own impending fate at once. How could she worry about herself when it was clear Magdalena was in so much pain? Why, there are even more marks on your arm than before. What in the world is happening to you? They're horribly painful. And this. Frowning grimly, Magdalena drew her sleeve back down and said, "It is an occupational hazard. And it's part of your job?" Magdalena nodded, a thin smile capturing her lip anew. "I'm glad you're so quick to catch on. It saves me the effort of explaining myself, which isn't something I care to do at the present. It is too early in the morning for it, and the story behind these bruises is not so very interesting. I'm accustomed to them." "Then it happens often?" "More than you would like to, yes." "What? But that's... you..." Make's mouth opened and fell, as a fish's might, but no words came out. She did not know how to articulate her horror, nor what she would appreciate to say, or would be appropriate to say. How could Magdalena endure injuries such as this while smiling? She made it sound as though it was no issue, or perhaps being a vampire Yeah, would hurt less than it hears. But surely it must have been would receive quite that many marks. That many ranks, marks. I don't think that anybody should endure this treatment, even if they are used to it. Familiarity doesn't make any better, nor any easier to enjoy. In fact, I think it makes it even worse. It's not always easy to break indeed, to bear indeed. But why are you worried about me, silly thing? Silly. Smiling, not silly, smiling. Magdalena poked May Kay's nose with the tip of her index finger. What about yourself first? I'll be fine, no matter what happens. Whatever happens might befall me. I can't say the same for you. Though, you humans are awfully fragile. Perhaps I am. Prettier. But it seems you vampires are suffering fragile too. But it seems you vampires are surprisingly fragile too. Magdalena, roll her palm, and Norse was not indestructible. She knew that now. Magdalena knew that now to look upon Magdalena's bruises. The rest of the body subjected to similar abuse, but for that long. Had the rest of her body. I read that already. What the fuck? Oh, I'm not telling. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. The thought made May-Kay feel sick. The hit of apple, once so homey, now made her stomach churn. May-Kay had lost most of her appetite, but as Magdalena's bidding, she forced herself to eat. While aware she was being silly, for all she knew, she might be dead upon the next setting of the sun. She did not want to let Magdalena down. Down! It was clear that she had endured enough already. Some minutes passed, neither May-Kay nor Magdalena speaking, as May-Kay patrols her breakfast. Partook her breakfast patrols, often in words. She chewed her scones, which now tasted like wallpaper, and washed them down with sips of apple tea, which reminded her of washing up water. Weird. She finished her plate, cleared of all small save crumbs. The teacup, empty of all save dregs. Magdalena took the tray, set it upon her bedside table. Be right back. It's so fast right now. Whoa! No, I'm walking. There now. How do you feel? Refreshed, I hope. Oh, yes, very. Oh, yes, very. I'm glad to hear it. Now, do you wish me to help you with your toilet? You can hardly sit in bed. all day in your nightgowns. It's a pretty dressing, certainly. It must be, being one of my own. But you can hardly wear it all the time. The fabric is much too flimsy. Maikei looked down at herself, bemused. Do you mean to help me dress myself? If you wish, might as well. I feel like pampering you today, is all. Aren't you accustomed to this kind of thing? You must have had servants to help you dress growing up. Was that not Penny's job? She'd help me, yes, but she didn't trouble herself on my behalf. I'm old enough to know how to dress myself. Age does not factor into when one is a lady. I feel awful that I've been treating you in so abysmal manner. If I had a spare lady's maid to offer you, I would, but alas, my castle is quite deserted. Quite deserted, though Maikei save for... Quite deserted, thought Maikei, save for Magdalena's mysterious mistress, but she did not comment upon her. Maikei had no desire to make things awkward between herself and Magdalena, not when it had been several days since last they had spoken. She didn't want Magdalena to leave. But neither did she want Magdalena to act like a servant, to seem beneath her. I thought you were a lady once before yourself. You shouldn't need to dress yourself. Oh yes, that is true. But one gets tired, you know, being the lady all the time. Won't you let me indulge? I thought it might be fun experiments, after all. I'll get such an opportunity in the future. I'll never get such an opportunity in the future. Well, if you insist. Maikei capitulated. The smile, with a small sigh. But she was not very upset. She was intrigued, rather, the prospect of having Magdalena act as a servant will ingrain in ingenuine, fucking intrigued, and sort of bashed. Words! Weird, can't read them. The thought of Magdalena's fingers lifting her nightgown, knuckles brushing against her bare arm, her back, her shoulders is strange. Starting intimate. But not unpleasantly so. Do with me as you will. I shall entrust myself to your capable hands. That is the answer. I was hoping for yes. Thank you for trusting me so dear Maikei. I promise I will take good care of you. I've been hoping. Oops, sorry. Dear, I promise I will take care of you. I've been hoping to get my hands on you for a while now. Now, why do you make that sound so salacious. My. Do you really think it sounds salacious? You know it does. You're doing this all on purpose to make me blush. And do you blush when your Henny helps you out in your nightgown? And into your day's dress? No, but that isn't the same. Henny is Henny, whereas you are... Yes. Magdalena took Maykay's hand and helped her stand, her red eyes glinting wickedly. Maykay hadn't expected this, and she stumbled, which never did hit the floor. Magdalena was there to catch her. Magdalena snaked one arm about Maykay's waist and pressed their bodies together. She said softly, "What am I exactly?" You are... You... I am. Impossible. You mean to be my mind for the day? If you mean to be my maid for the day, if you need my mood today, you're acting in a most imperative manner. Perhaps I am. But also, it's not in my nature to be pertinent. One has to wonder what you were expecting. What am I looking at here? Oh. When the fuck open email? Sorry. I'm just presuming this is my phone. I don't know why I was looking at my Gmail for some reason. When the fuck did I open Gmail? The fuck? I wonder myself. I must be going mad. I can't blame you for that, my dear Maykay. Not when you have been in prison for as long as you have. I myself have often wondered whether I have not become similarly addled. And I had been trapped here far, far longer than you have. Now. Magdalena smiled, all brightness anew. Her smile, one which easily rivaled the weak, watery sunshine which crept in through the gaps in the drawn curtains. We have tarried too long. Let me first relieve you of your nightgown, my enemy. Maykay stood there, feeling very exposed, as Magdalena moved to undress her. Her face reddened still as Magdalena's touch, and the brushing of her fingertips. Still she stood there, blind as an antique doll, as Magdalena slid her nightgown down upwards. Rain, Maykay's nightgown, which was long, was lifted above her knees, her thighs, then her chest, and finally her head. Magdalena cast the flimsy garments aside, the deft movement, though she had careful not to crease it. Folding the gown with experienced hands in a manner of comparable to Penny's, she said a desire and then stood back to examine Maykay, practically nude. Goodness me. You really are lovely. Mako was not yet fully naked. She wore a chemise beneath her nightgown, which was eggshell, white, and shapeless. But she felt naked, nonetheless, exposed before Magdalena's wandering eyes. Tomo zoom. Whoa! Booba, am I right? Henny had often helped make a dress and undress, and while Henny had been prone to complimenting her mistress, her eyes had never wandered thus. Maiden's irises were burning, and May Kay too began to shiver. These shivers only increased further still as Magdalena's drew in, fingers seeking out the buttons which ran along the front of her chemise. Words, still don't know if I can pronounce them. Now, why don't you let me take care of this? It is fiddly. It is fiddly work, but I don't much mind. It is well worth it to spend more time with you like this. I know I tease a lot, but I'm very serious when I tell you this, my dear May-Kay. I really do miss spending time with you. Once May-Kay was fully dressed and her hair neatly brushed, Magdalena suggested that they go for a walk in the garden, as they had early in the week. May-Kay, who had been shut up in her room since their brief excursion, agreed swiftly. She began to fear, cloistered away her as she was, that she might never feel the sunlight upon her cheeks again. Not that there was all that much sunlight to be had that day, being so grey and gloomy like a normal fucking England day in the Europes. Lol. Fucking done with me everywhere. Kind of funny. The sun was largely concealed by clouds, its rays tempered by a cold breeze which snicked down the nape of May-Kay's neck, the back of her dress. May-Kay shut her form, standing outdoors, goose flesh ripped across her arm. While it was not a pleasant day by any stretch of the imagination, at least it wasn't raining. Not last time. That was something to be thankful for. May-Kay supposed it was on account of the general unpleasantness and the molasses which hung in the air, when Magdalena had suggested they go outside at all. Had it been a bright sunny day, sort of day, it seemed unlikely that she would have been able to ask and do it even with the aid of her wide-brimmed hat. Magdalena and May-Kay strolled about the garden together for a few minutes. The only sound that of their footsteps, and as they depressed the tall grass beneath them. These overlong fronds of grass brushed against May-Kay's ankle, all studded with morning dew, dampening May-Kay's socks as she shivered further still. Keeper's lichen spot remains looked every bit as grim as May-Kay recalled. The fountain itself looked very dull and framed with a cloud monotone sky. The whole garden was grey, really. The grass, the dirt, and the wildflowers, save for the violet, riotous explosions of bright red offered by Magdalena's favorite roses. It was by these roses Magdalena paused as she had during their last walk, and with a small smile she reached and pressed one of the monstrously large roses, the tips of her fingers. I always forget how pretty these roses are. I barely ever have cause to see them during the daytime. My kind is not known for the beauty of the sun. It does make one forget, however, how lovely the world can be. It isn't smudged in perpetual darkness. I'm starting to feel like I feel like I've been waiting out, missing out. Though humans like you, I suppose. Like, though humans like you, I suppose. Take the daylight for granted. Magdalena glanced over her shoulder, her red eyes finding May Kay's and smiled wanly. This is how the world has always been for you. You live in a world of warmth and brightness, where everything is bathed in color. You've no idea how fortunate you are. My days weren't as bright as you might imagine. I didn't spend my days frolicking out the walls in sunlight. If that was what you were thinking, my mother never would have approved. There was little she did approve of, in fact. Was she a stern disciplinarian, then? I can imagine nobody stricter. She was my mother, as I suppose, and I suppose she was looking after my best interests. I know she loved me. I love her too. What happened? Sorry. What the fuck just happened? Oh, I pressed the wrong button by accident. Press the wrong button. We're good. She's my mother, and I suppose she was looking after my best interests. Or she loved me, and I loved her. But sometimes I think I resented her. May Kay exhaled, feeling lightheaded suddenly, at her own confession. She'd never spoken of her feelings about her mother to anybody before. Not quite this earnestly. Hetty knew May Kay's feelings towards her mother were cool beyond the veneer of cordiality she tended to the Vern Essen matriarch, but May Kay had never once spoken of her bitterness, her anger, or her hurt. She had kept those ugly feelings buried deep inside her, keenly aware of how ungrateful her complaints must have sounded to a woman like Henry. What did May Kay have to complain about when her family was genteel and she lived in a sprawling manor home? May Kay had thought it churlish to bemoan her lot in life. Others were suffering more than she. Children were abandoned on the streets every day by penniless mothers unable to care for them, or else into service. And yet, Meike had possessed all a young woman could have asked for, but she had not been truly happy. Her mother had seen to that. Part of Meike hated herself for her unfilial feelings, but she had been able to help them. She had been harboring these feelings for such a long time she could no longer remain quiet. My mother thought of herself as being a very grand and noble lady. This came at the expense of how she regarded everybody else. She was cruel to the servants. She would snap at them for the smallest of misdemeanors, and she often threatened to fire them. Often threatened to fire. Sorry, I got distracted. She was cruel to the servants. She would snap at them for the smallest of misdemeanors, and she would often threaten to fire them, though she knew many of them.
I was
needed
just
the
thinking that
employment.
you look like the sort of person who would enjoy one of our fairy kiss chillers.
Yes, distracted by women. As one would be distracted by women. You know, they're so good, so soft, so lovely. Anyways, so sad and lonely. Dear God, it's so lonely here. They needed our money. Not that we had much of it, it was all for show. That was another thing that rattled my mother. She liked to act as though she was untouchable, but she was more aware that most of her were precarious finances. I think that was why she was so obsessed with appearances. She had little else to cling to. It was she who advised my marriage to Walter Geralt. I think she saw it as an opportunity to claw back some of our past wealth and our past prestige. She did not care that I disliked him. When I told her my feelings, she told me that I was being selfish. She said that if I truly cared for her and for my family, I would obey. I tried to protest. How was I being selfish? I'd always done what she asked, but she didn't like that very much. My mother rarely liked what I did, but she liked it even less when I tried to stand my ground. She said, try. I said try, because it didn't work. She slapped me as though I was a naughty girl, but I was over 20 at the time. She cut my cheek with one of her many expensive rings, which she refused to pawn, no matter how dire her states were. She would rather sell me off than her rings, or her brooches, or her fur coats. Then she sent me to my room in disgrace. I spent most of my days in my room, staring out my bedroom window, dreaming of escape. Maybe that's why I was so good at sitting inside my head. Maybe that was why I was so good at sitting inside, my head bowed, like a good little prisoner. I have a good deal of practice. You could say that I perfected the art. Though I was never able to improve my skills at embroidery, but how much time I whiled away indoors. I've never been able to become the accomplished lady my mother desired, despite her needing. I've always been lacking. I was too flighty, too stubborn, too thoughtless. My mother often said I was a poor daughter, but in those respects, I think I was quite a lot like her. I made a perfect Vornessen, at the very least. Poor thing. Magdalena sighed once. My kid finished her missive, her red eyes shattering from beneath the rim of her hat. It sounds as though you have suffered too. And unknown. Forgive me for speaking so carelessly about your lot in life. It is a bad habit of mine to act like a know-it-all when I understand very little. I used to be scolded for that myself when I was a human. Did you often get into arguments with your mother? Not my mother. No, I really had cause to speak to her, but I had a figure in my life, quite like your own, the Lady von Essen. She thought she was very righteous, but she used her righteousness as a weapon. It was an excuse to be as cruel as she wished to those she considered beneath her. It was frightening when my house, my home, was sacked, but I was not at all upset when she passed away. She deserved it. Magdalena pulled her face and sighed. Now, why am I speaking of so dreary subject? I wanted to come out here to cheer myself up. All this melancholy rather defeats the purpose. I'm sorry. That was May Kay's true turn to apologize. Abashed, she bowed her head while brushing a strand of hair behind the shadow of her ear. I just thought, I don't know. I've not been able to speak about my mother to anybody before, so when I started, I couldn't stop. The words all came tumbling out. It was improper of me, and unfair too. My poor mother was not yet been dead a full month. I feel like I should at least wait a year before beginning to slander her. That sounds like standard protocol. Oh, don't worry. Put your little head about that. I'm glad you trust me enough to open up to me. Particularly on a matter of so personal. I only worry that I won't be able to afford an appropriate response in return. I'm still dreadfully tired, you see. Yes, I can see that. Magdalena looked wearier than she had during their first stroll at the garden, when she had fallen asleep on Make's shoulder. Magdalena seemed so tired, in fact. It was a wonder she was able to remain upright. Her left hand was quivering, when she reached to brush her fingertips to her favorite roses. Have you not been sleeping very much this week? If I was, I would be in bed right now, inside my chamber. But there can be no rest for the wicked. Is that how the saying goes? It's a popular adage, yes. I don't know if you're wholly wicked, though. Only partially, then. I don't think anybody in this world is fully good or bad. We're complicated creatures. Even vampires. Maybe. I thought you were a cruel monster at first, but I think my initial opinion was unfair. Really? Magdalena smiled, her red eyes mischievous, even despite her evident exhaustion. I'm glad you've since changed your tune, though I do have to wonder why that is. I hope you don't pity me. I feel worried for you, maybe. I don't know if that's the same as a pity. Such feelings are cut from the same cloth. As a vampire, I have no need to court the concerns of humans. You are lowly creatures far beneath me in the pecking order. I ought to find your worry insulting, really, right? Magdalena looked now to her feet, uncommonly abashed. She cleared her throat. Had she been a human, May Kay wondered whether she would have blushed, and said, "It has been a long, long while since anybody worried about me. I'd almost forgotten what I felt like. It's not entirely unpleasant, I suppose. But I do wish you wouldn't. And why is that? Your sympathy is wasted upon me. I don't deserve it. While it is true we all have good and bad within us, even monsters, I did kidnap you, and I am holding you a prisoner. I've inflicted almost a dozen wounds upon your poor arm, and I've taken a lot of your blood. I'm making you suffer. You've no reason at all to worry about me. You want to hate me instead. That's what I deserve. You say that, and you would be correct to do so, but... May Kay took a step forward, depressing the scrubbed grass beneath her soles, then examined Magdalena, a few inches away from the protective person. Magdalena was still looking to the ground, her eyes obscured in shadow. She was shivering, but May Kay did not think this was from the cold. She did not think a vampire like Magdalena could feel the cold. I don't think you really wished to hurt me. Not for the sake of it, at least. And what makes you think that? You do. You always look apologetic when you smell blood. And a few days prior, you said much yourself. Aren't you in this for your mistress' sake? Yes. My mistress. You would be right. on that score, I would not be doing this, any of this, had I a choice in the matter. But my wants are irrelevant. My mistress is hungry, ravenous even, and she has a tendency to violence when I cannot satisfy her. I've been doing her bidding for many years, but I don't believe I've ever once been able to make her happy. I don't know if she is capable of feeling such emotion. She is a selfish creature, and she always demands more from me. I know she cannot help herself. She has her extenuating circumstances, but it does get wearing. Being forever at the beck and call of a temptress being like that, even during her afterlife. My afterlife, even. I had hoped, as a vampire, I might be able to do what I wished for a change, but fate not been kind to me. If God does exist, which I doubt, he must surely be laughing at my plight. I'm sure he wouldn't. I know that I don't think any of this is funny. Not in the slightest. Well, you wouldn't. You are rather too kind to laugh at the misfortune of others. I sometimes fear my own suffering has been so egregious, however. I feel like laughing at it myself. When I do not wish to cry, of course. Magdalena paused, then frowned. She shook her head once more, her eyes darkening, and said, "Listen to me talking so much. This sounds awfully tedious. I don't think so. I'm happy to learn more about you. Even though I will kill you one day. Even so, you don't hate me. Not at all. Ah, yes. I suppose you are too busy worrying about me for that, sweet girl as you are. Sleep still. Magdalena scoffed the ground once more, agitated, then looked at May Kay with intense eyes. This is unfair. I didn't mean to grow as attached to you as I have, but it is too late to worry about that. I like talking to you and walking with you. You brighten up my dreary home considerably. Why, I even like cooking for you, to watch you eat, and brewing you tea every morning. I have no desire to kill you, but I fear I must, if my mistress is to be satiated. I've been searching the forest these past few nights, hoping I might find some stray thieves or bandits I might offer my mistress in your stead, but I've yet to find so much. The single vagrant. Magdalena. May Kay blinked, and probably touched by this proclamation. Mary Kay supposed it should have been unnerving that Magdalena had been searching for a few fresh victims in her stead, but she had spent enough time with Magdalena that such sense has been blunted. It was foolhardy to regard Magdalena as she would be a human. Magdalena might have looked as she did, though paler, but her morals were skewed towards those of the undead. To her, humans must have looked like cattle. She ought not to have cared for May Kay at all, but she still did. She didn't want her to die. It was a sweet sentiment, if nothing else. Have you really been toiling that hard for my sake? I have indeed. Like a blasted ox, or perhaps a mad woman. Who's to say? Maybe I have gone mad. I must have, to care for a human this much. To such a degree I am losing sleep. Oh, for your sake. Magdalena laughed without humor. Lips curled as a grin. Maximum of a smile. Do you understand what I mean when I said that God would laugh at me? I've been toiling for your sake. It's all been in vain. I have nothing to offer my mistress save myself. It my blood ceased to flow a long time ago. I can only believe if I have recently fed. If I do not, then what runs through my veins might very well be made of air. Look. Magdalena removed one of her gloves. With an artful flourish, they reached out once more for the rose bushes. This time, however, she did not caress any of the flowers. Instead, she seized one of the slender stems beneath her fingers, all thorns and gripped tightly. These thorns lacerated a normal person's flesh, bringing forth bright red blood. When Magdalena drew away, however, there was only a few droplets of crimson streaking her palms, far less than May Kay would have expected. Though her skin had been punctured from the rose's thorns, she appeared otherwise unharmed. Though she could bleed, she did not bleed as freely as a normal human. That must have been something she had given up many years ago. I really am a monster. I have no need for your sympathy, May Kay. If you show me too much kindness, it will poison me. I don't deserve it. Magdalena. May Kay murmured the other woman's name, but it did not sound right upon her tongue. There was too many syllables, which seemed to put between them an uncomfortable amount of distance. May Kay paused, then tried anew, fingers reaching to cup Magdalena's own scarred ones. No. Lena. May Kay. Maker looked into Magdalena's red eyes, which seemed uncommonly beautiful, then said, I don't hate you, Lena, no matter how much you might wish I did. How could I, when you've confided so much in me? I know you don't mean to hurt me, even if you do. And that, I think, is enough for me to forgive you. But if you stay with me, I will kill you. And if I'd married Ergerald, he would have killed me too, albeit in a slower, more indirect manner. My mother was likewise killing me slowly, but keeping me shut up inside, with little to distract myself, save the awful embroidery heap. She hurt me every day, in all manners of insidious ways, and she was supposed to be my mother. She should have put my own needs first, above all else, but she never did. I don't know if she was fully aware of how much she had hurt me, but if she was, she never apologized. She was my own flesh and blood, but I don't think she understood me half as well as you do. At least you seem to care. Oh, I can't deny that I do care. Much more than I should. I care so much I fear I might go insane. You aren't the only one. I must be insane too, to care so much about a woman who means to heal me. But I can't help with how I feel. I've never had much of a life. I've had a few in the way of friends. I understand how you feel. I've been shut away inside the house for so many years. I've also been horribly lonely. But I'm less lonely now that I've met you. While part of me wishes I had occurred under better circumstances, I really am glad I met you. So, please, don't feel guilty. I won't hate you, even if you kill me. I might thank you for it even. If you weren't the one holding the knife to my arm, then I would probably have been me. And I don't much want to bring my own life to an end. I'm too cowardly for that. And I don't much like the pain. I'd rather you do it. That way, at least, my own conscience will be clear. And when I do die, I might be able to go to heaven. That wasn't until later that night that Magdalena paid a second visit to Mary Kane's bedchambers, carrying with her a ceramic bowl and a sharp bladed knife. Mary Kay had been lying in bed when Magdalena arrived, attired in her nightgown. It was late enough that she had wondered whether Magdalena had forgotten about their nightly ritual, but evidently not. May Kay had endured these sessions with Magdalena numerous times, and now she knew what to expect from them. Magdalena did not even need to ask May Kay to present this inside of her arm this time. May Kay did so without complaints, though she did still wince when Magdalena pressed the blade of the knife against her flesh. And Magdalena said softly. So softly May-Kay could have fainted to deafness if she'd wished, while steadying her hand. I don't wish to hurt you, though I know my apologies mean very little. They cannot undo the pain that I am making you feel. They are utterly pointless. Magdalena's expression twisted as she collected May-Kay's blood, her fingers trembling all the while. May-Kay's blood soon stained the ceramic bright enough to be garish during the otherwise unstated night. Magdalena must have cut more deeply this time, because her wound burned more intensely, and her blood spilled more freely. During their other sessions, May-Kay's blood would emerge almost shyly, a few anxious drops from the thin hairline cuts May-Kay had inflicted upon her. It was not so tonight, however. There was so much blood, May-Kay's bedroom began to stink of it. The scent of blood combated other unpleasant odors May-Kay often had to contend with. Those of dust and mold and neglect. And those all May-Kay could smell. She could taste it too, the back of her throat. She swallowed. The air seemed to have taken on the tang of copper. May-Kay's wound stung as Magdalena squeezed free with more blood from within her. May-Kay winced and bit the inside of her cheek in an attempt to stop herself from gasping. She did not want to cry out. No one Magdalena looked so tense already. She did not want Magdalena to feel guilty about hurting her. But surely, that was foolish. Magdalena, as her tormentor, ought to have felt guilty about the pain which she was inflicting upon May-Kay. May-Kay had no obligation to worry about Magdalena's feelings, wherever they had been, and yet... Alright. I think that ought to be enough. Magdalena took a handkerchief from her pocket and dabbed at May-Kay's wound. The lukewarm water against her skin stung, and May-Kay had to bite the inside of her cheek again, hard this time, to stop another encroaching sound of distress. Making control the insides of her head, trying to soothe herself before she spoke. Counted to 3, not control, counted to 3. Fucking reading words. Lena? What is it? I wanted to tell you. Oh. May-Kay yawned, and leant back against her pillow. Magdalena was still dabbing at her arm, at her own wound, but all of a sudden, May-Kay felt too drained to remain upright. All her strength had voided her body, leaving her an empty shell. She always felt exhausted after her blood drained, but this exhaustion settled upon her even more heavily tonight. May-Kay's arm and legs felt leaden, her fingers and toes quite numb. She could really curl them, though she tried. Her breathing was right, at least not shallow, and still the air tasted blood. May-Kay might have felt terrible, but she did not blame Magdalena for her plight. If anything, she pitied her. Thank you. May-Kay spoke softly, her eyes fixed upon Magdalena's, unblinking despite her fatigue. What? Magdalena drew back, clutching her blood-splattered handkerchief in one hand, and frowned. What could you possibly have to thank me for? Don't tell me I've taken so much blood, your thoughts have grown adult. Perhaps they are, somewhat. But I'm not so confused, I don't understand my own feelings. I know that you're being as considerate as you can, given the circumstances. Considerate? Magdalena laughed, though it was without humor. And I know that you don't mean to hurt me. You're trying to console me as best as you can, aren't you? I'm trying, yes. Okay. Magdalena gripped the handkerchief hard, crumpled in her right fist. It was so damp with Maykay's blood. Not that there was much of it. Magdalena had been thorough with emptying Maykay's veins into her bowl. The little blood which had stained Magdalena's handkerchief, however, soon stained Magdalena's palm in turn, steepling her dark love burgundy. How can you say that to me? Do you mean to hurt me? What? No, I would never. Yes, I know you would never. You're a good kind of woman, unlike myself. You're so very kind, in fact. You would seek to sympathize with a monster like me. I'm hurting you. Surely you must be able to feel it. But still, you place my feelings above your own. I don't understand how you could do that. How can you bear to thank me, after all I've done to you? If I didn't know you better, I would think you were trying to make me feel guilty. Lena, I've no desire to make you feel guilty. It would be a pointless enterprise. Why would I bother? I can see that you feel guilty already. Magdalena stiffened at this. She pocketed her bloody handkerchief, perhaps to stop her anxious hands from rending it too, then frowned. Yes, you are quite right. I do feel guilty about this, yet I fail to see what this would feasibly accomplish. My guilt hasn't stopped me from hurting you. It's worthless emotion that exists only to satisfy my own ego. I like to believe I'm not wicked, so I cling to my guilt. It proves, at least in some sense, that I still have a sense of ethics, that I'm still a human. At least in part. But no ordinary human being would inflict suffering like this upon another. It is all posturing. I don't think it is. How can you be posturing when you're being so sincere? Maybe I am. But what does it matter? It matters to me. It matters to me. I would hate you if you gleaned any enjoyment from treating me like this. But I can see that you don't. This is hurting you too. In fact, I think it hurts you more than it does me. I don't know all that of the particulars, but you wouldn't be doing this if you had a choice. Maker took Magdalena's hand in her own, squeezing it. She said in an imploring voice, "Is that right?" Is that what you think? Magdalena sighed, wretchedly, but did not try to pull away from May-Kay. Instead she leant in squeezing May-Kay's hand in turn before elaborating. I'm sorry to disappoint you, May-Kay, but I'm not the hopeless victim you seem to believe. I do have a choice in this. I always have, and it is my own foolish fault that I chose and continue to choose. A poor one. I don't have to hurt you. I don't have to do anything. If I wanted, I could wash my hands of this farce and move far away. But all this bloodshed behind me of it. You can't. Though you say you could. You have your mistress to worry about. Indeed I do. Well, I could leave her. I would not wish to. She would be hopeless without me. She can't look after herself. She needs somebody to sustain her. I just so happen to be that unfortunate somebody. I procure victims for her, but I keep her fed. But I am afraid it is not enough for her. I think I might even be afraid of her. Oh God. Magdalena's expression twisted. Anna sounds so pathetic. May-Kay thought of this lurid marks she had seen on Magdalena's arm, a riot of red circles, like four-headed flowers, and winced in sympathy with her. I don't think you're pathetic, Lena. I think you've been trying very, very hard for a very, very long time. And I think you need somebody to console you. Perhaps I'm wrong to feel this way, and perhaps I'm being presumptuous. You can scold me if you want to. Offer that to it, Lena. No longer alone, Magdalena finds solace in May-Kay's arms. A woman of sympathy. May-Kay leant in and wound her arms about Magdalena. You aren't alone. You have me. You can talk to me. If something is the matter, I'm ready to help you. I care about you, and I don't want to see you upset. May-Kay. Oh, May-Kay. Magdalena sniffled, her eyelashes trembling. Her shoulders began to relax, her body drained of tension. But even as it did, she murmured, You don't have to pity me. I have no need for the sympathy of a mere human, particularly not when said human is one of my victims. You should be cowering away from me, not holding me even closer. Maybe I should. But as my mother always said, I've never known what's best for me. That's why she arranged for my life for me, down to the smallest detail. Now that she's no more, I think I ought to do what I want for a change. I'm afraid of listening to other people. You won't even listen to me. I will. If you wish me to. You can push me away, if you like. But I thought it might help. I don't know if there's anything you can do to help me, May-Kay. You or anybody. The only person who can help me is me. Magdalena sighed. I had to tell you to keep your distance, and yet, it has been so long time since I was last embraced It feels very nostalgic. Relenting, Magdalena leant forth, then rested her own chin against May Kay's chest, wherein her heart continued to beat. I can't believe this. I'm seeking solace in the arms of a human, of all things. I thought I was stronger than this. You are strong. You must be. To have endured so very much for so long, all alone. But everybody has their limits. Yes, you might be right about that. I think I hit my limit a good while ago. I've been trying to soldier on. My mistress needs me after all, but... Oh, God. I can't even cry. I'm so shaken. What is the matter with me? I must look utterly foolish. I already told you. You aren't. Are you sure? Well, maybe later. Make laugh softly, which procured from Magdalena, and offended. Hey, but I think you... I like you, but I don't like you any less for it. In fact, I think I might like you even more. It's nice to know there are more sides to you than meets the eye. I knew there was more to you than the aloof, dignified vampire you first showed to me. You might not be human, but I don't think your feelings are so different from mine. If only. Magdalena drew back from AK, though still her arms were looped about the other woman. Holding her close, she looked into Maykay's face and said, "You're too kind, AK. If you keep acting as you are, I'll have second or third thoughts about harming you further. You don't deserve any of this. I wish I could save you, but it's fine. You saved me once before, remember? If it weren't for your timely intervention, both Henny and I would have been slaughtered by those bandits. You've saved me. How can I not love you after that?" Miko. Magdalena's ruby eyes widened and abashed. She looked away. If I had the blood to blush, my face would be pink right now. Not embarrassing, am I? Not embarrassing, am I? You're horribly so. You're so perplexing to me, too. You're a foolish girl, do you know that? Your sympathy towards me is unwarranted, not to mention all this cloying, sickly kindness. I'm drowning in it. Your trust in me is going to get you killed one day. One day soon, in fact. It's killing me already. I know. And I don't care. You said that earlier, when we were in the gardens. But do you really mean that? Every word, right now. I only care about being with you? Every word, right now, I only care about being with you. Well, that is quite the proclamation. If I did not know any better, perhaps I would take it as a confession. Perhaps I want you to take it like that. Honestly. Maybe. I know. At the very least, I don't hate you. I've grown quite fond of you, in fact. When we're together, my heart starts to beat harder and, well, you might not be able to blush, but I can. Yes, I can see that for myself. Magdalena's eyes trailed across the contours of Maker's face, marveling at how delicate and marvelous. How long her lashes, how flushed, like freshly picked primroses, her skin. That blood Magdalena had drained from Maker seemed to resting beneath the surface of her cheeks, warming them, each exuding from her like that of a flickering flame. She looked so very enticing. Magdalena hardly knew what she was doing, even as she pressed 2 fingers beneath Maker's chin. Raising her head thus, their eyes meeting once more, Magdalena said, "You really are an idiot. But if you wish, you could be my idiot. For tonight at least. I think that might, at least, make me happy. My Maker." Magdalena dipped her head, as though compelled by a powerful magnetism, and sought out Maker's mouth with her own. Her cloak fell from her shoulders as she leant in, revealing just how slender Magdalena truly was. How delicate. As her palms found Maker, their fingers pressed together, their eyelids folding shut as they indulged in one another. It was Maker's very first kiss. It was not, as her mother had designed, with Walter Graham. Magdalena's lips were cold, as was her skin, and Maker shivered against her. The kiss was not what Maker had imagined over the years, when she had been sequestered away inside the pants walled home. Many times Maker had wondered what the first kiss would be like. She imagined ghostly scores of them as she lay in her bed at night, looking out the window. Never before had a woman like Magdalena factored into Maker's fantasies, with white skin and red eyes, and a heart which not beat. This was not at all what Magdalena had anticipated. It felt even better. Maker lay in bed late that night, not long after Magdalena had left her. A ghostly vision in white upon her bed sheets. She lay back upon her thin, aged pillow, her hair fanning outwards like a halo. Though she felt tired, sleep refused to become. It remained nothing but a distant dream. Images of the day passed, and all she had done with Magdalena flickering before her eyes like the ghostly images in a phantascope. Mackay saw Magdalena holding her breakfast tray. A small smile upon her lips, Magdalena reached to brush her hair behind one ear. Her sleeve slipping down to reveal her bruised arm. Magdalena standing in the rose garden, her hand bound. She saw Magdalena, too, as she had been while pressing a knife against the inside of her wrist, her red eyes full of guilt. And later, Magdalena, with her pale eyelashes sewn shut, her lips pressed against May Kay's arm. That had May Kay's first ever kiss. She had not been so intimate with Walter, though he had been her fiancé. Not that May Kay saw this as any great loss. The thought of kissing Walter, or any man for that matter, had always turned in May Kay's stomach. She had liked reading stories about romance scenes that had left her swooning. May Kay thought she would be happy if she never kissed a man, and that belief still stood. Magdalena might have been a woman, and a vampire besides, but kissing her felt right. Even now, long after lips had parted, May Kay could remember how it felt. Her lips throbbed with phantom kisses, and blood pooled to her cheeks. May Kay pressed one hand to her chest, fingers displayed inside. She knew not how she would go to sleep now, with such thoughts racing through her mind. She feared, as she lay there, the darkness pressing upon her, that she would never sleep again. Magdalena had stolen her ability to rest, just as surely as she had stolen away her heart. Resave game, thank you. Jesus. And with that, I think that's a great place to end it. That is a great place to end it for today. They kissed. They did the Yuri. They did the Yuri. They have Yuri'd. They kissed. Yippee! But that is it for today. They did each other. They did, Possum. You're so right. But yes, that is it for today. It was live. We have 2 candidates live, I think. Unless that notification... Oh, there are. We have 2 candidates live. We can go to an art stream. Or we can go to a puzzle stream. And actually, are there more options, maybe? No. We have an art stream and a puzzle stream to go to. Art? I see a preference for art stream, I see. Well, the art stream is a good stream. Good, comfy vibe. So you may be biased. You may be biased, but yeah, that is it for today. I guess we're gonna say hi to the potato. Now me trying to remember how to spell the word potato. I put it an S. That's where the A is supposed to be. Not me trying to remember how to spell the word potato, like a fucking idiot. But that is it for today. Thank you all for hanging out. Hope you have a lovely rest of your Sapphic Sunday. I'm gonna go run and have some dinner. Next stream is, of course, tomorrow, Monday, 3 p.m. EST, for some more Misty's Izakaya. I'm having a fucking blast. We just unlocked the shrine location for the Izakaya, so that's fun. I'm excited for that tomorrow. But yeah, that's it for today. Have a lovely rest of your day, night, whatever. I'm gonna have dinner. Relax a bit. Maybe hang with friends in voice chat sometime in the evening, but we'll find out. probably no voice acting for tonight, because I think that's only for, I think it's for like in 2 weeks we're doing that again. But until then.